Hello, I'm Christopher Bayliss from Intergage Fast Growth, and today we're focusing on the workbook entitled Decide Your Bold Motivating Goals. And with me today is Paul Booker, who is the Managing Director of a company called Triple O Performance Solution. Paul, welcome, and thank you for giving me your valuable time.
It's good, thank you, Christopher.
Okay. If you've downloaded the workbook and got it in front of you, let's think about the purpose of this particular workbook. The purpose is for you to create up to three bold, motivating goals for your company. By motivating, I mean something that you find motivating and inspiring, and something that your staff feel motivating. But the key thing, it needs to be bold, to stretch your company. The goal is that when you've refined these goals with your team, that you involve them in these goals, and as a result, within 2 years, you will achieve remarkable results. That's the purpose and goal for this particular workshop, Paul.
Yep.
Okay? And we always start with what's the strategic problem, and at the top of page 1, I say that many people just have very unclear and uninspiring goals.
Sure.
Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about Triple O Protection System and the goal that you came up with for your company.
Well, we had an opportunity to sell this product and indeed to develop it. And what we felt was a bold, motivating goal was global domination.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe we start there, and if we're not capable of that, we can trickle back. But we should start at the top. So,
Okay.
global domination.
And for the benefit of the reader and listener, what is the product?
The product is a nanotechnology product we call Triple O. And it's a performance solution which we have now on aircraft, marine and renewable applications.
And you want global domination for that.
Absolutely.
And when did you create that goal, that bold motivation?
So it's 2007 we first had the opportunity.
Yep.
And we've been on a big research and development path, and but we're well on the way.
Fantastic. Well, certainly that's bold and motivating. I'm a great fan of visuals, as you know, and prompts. And to me, a really bold, motivating goal is a bit like this. My finger represents current reality, the current performance. Now, I know you had an existing business before then,
Sure.
nothing to do with the aircraft industry, and you set this goal of
Yep.
world domination within 5-7 years for this. And that's like my thumb really stretching the organisation.
Sure.
I've got to be careful here, Paul, because if I pull too much, it'll snap. We don't want that, do
I
we?
could understand that.
But what it does, by setting that and getting your staff involved and believing it, that pulls the performance
Everyone
up.
up. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Makes sense?
Yep.
Who, in your opinion, I guess I'm looking for a world leader, if you like, has created a bold, motivating goal for his company?
Well, Branson did at the beginning, didn't he,
Yeah.
with the Virgin brand,
Yeah.
and quite controversial actually at the time. Even the word,
Yes.
it wasn't in common parlance, and so he really went out there and created a bold vision, a bold brand.
Yeah. And he's done that now with that brand in about...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I remember being at Manchester Business School and we were discussing he was stretching the brand too far, but actually doesn't look like he did. He looks like he kept control of it.
Definitely. And staying with that theme, I didn't know you were going to mention Richard Branson, but his latest of his 16 companies, his latest one is Virgin Galactica.
Absolutely.
And here's a bold, motivating goal to take ordinary people for £100,000 a throw into inner space.
Yep.
And if you had the money, would you go?
No. But we have offered to put Triple O on Virgin Galactica. so they actually didn't want it on the glider because they need to keep the surfaces rough.
Yeah.
It's the longest, highest glide path in the world.
Okay.
So, yeah, we know a bit about it.
I've got one other thing I'd like to show you before looking at the workbook, and if you could help me just lift it up and show the camera. This is actually in front of my office where I work, right in front of me. That's an eagle, if you can see it there. looks like an American eagle, doesn't it, in the sunset. Obviously goals, because this workbook is called Decide Your Bold Motivating Goals. Paul, can you just read what it says there for us, please?
No one can predict to what heights you can soar. Even you will not know until you spread your wings.
And I'm 70 years of age. I love what I do. And I've just started this new venture called Intergaze Fast Growth. And people say, why are you doing that? And I'm spreading my wings.
I totally understand.
Paul, first hint is think of creating a bold goal as a process rather than as a eureka one-off moment.
Yep.
Make sense?
Sure.
And for the camera and for the reader, I'm going to show this. It's on page 2 as a flow chart. So you start here, number 1. Can you read what it says, number 1?
It's make your key assumptions about you and your company.
We all make assumptions, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
About the economy, about
Yeah.
world travel, in your case.
Yeah. Define a key measure for each of your 3 goals.
Because we're saying 3 goals is ideal.
Yeah. And number 3 is draft your 3 SMART goals.
For those that aren't familiar with SMART, can you just read?
Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic and time-bound.
Number 4.
Is make the 3 SMART goals bold to you.
You know, it's easy to come up with a SMART goal,
Sure.
but it's also important to come up with a bold SMART goal.
Yeah. And 5, assess how motivating these bold goals are for you.
Yeah. And then finally, because it's an iterative process,
Is to evaluate and refine your 3 draft goals.
and there's links coming in at all those places.
Yeah.
And it's a process. Yeah. You may be lucky and have a eureka moment in the bath, but generally you go around a couple of times. Sure. And certainly in my experience with my own companies, it takes me a while.
Absolutely.
We're all different.
Yeah.
So the second hint is this assumptions. I'm going to start with that one, because it's the start of the process. What key positive assumptions are you making about a number of things on that page?
Yeah.
When you came up with your bold goal of world dominance, what assumptions did you make in 2007, ironically the start of the recession, about the economy, about the world travel, about fuel economy, all those things?
Well, actually, it was it was just before Lehman Brothers went bust, so we were looking at quite a rosy picture at the time. I believe it was only the not-for-business secretary Vince Cable that saw it coming, wasn't it? But so our assumptions were all wrong.
Yeah. But you made some assumptions.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We made assumptions that things were going to go along nicely and we were going to exploit the opportunities. But
we're talking about assumptions.
Yep.
I'd like to talk about 2 probably famous assumptions that went rather awry.
Right.
Okay. As you know, I'm from Bristol,
Yep.
Filton, where the Concorde airliner was made.
Yes.
Okay. To break even on that plane, they needed to sell 110 Concordes. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was their assumption. They would sell 110 Concordes. How many did they sell in total?
Phew. I thought there were only about half a dozen.
They sold 12.
Okay.
It's called an error.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, what an assumption.
Yeah. Second example, a little company called Apple developed a thing called an iPhone, innovative product. They looked at their analysis of break-even, etc., and their forecast. And from launch over the 3 years, how many did they expect to sell around the world of the original iPhones?
Well,
how many did they expect to sell?
No idea. Probably expect to sell 1 million.
Yes, bang on.
Well, there you go.
And how many did they sell?
Probably 100 million.
Well, it was
a good 10 million.
Yeah,
probably.
a good 10 million, I think. It's called an error.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So can you see how
Absolutely.
when you're predicting things? So what new assumptions are you making now? Because you've really established yourself as a presence with Triple O Performance Solutions.
Yeah.
What new assumptions are you making now that the economy, the world economy, is very different to what it is now than it was, etc.? What's
Sure. Well, I mean, I am very much more in tune with what the world economy is doing. I was at a business breakfast yesterday with a major bank to understand where they saw the future. But for us, the bold goal took us through. It wasn't a distraction, actually. So because we had the vision, we were able to find the strategy around to still achieve the vision.
And for the benefit of the readers here, Paul has a number of other companies, but we're just focusing on this one today. And for all those, you've set some bold, motivating goals.
They've all got them.
Good. So anyway, do the assumptions.
Sure.
And assumptions are just what they are, just assumptions. You can always change them.
Yeah.
So use an iterative process, make some assumptions, craft some goals,
Yeah.
and then refine them. And the best way to refine them, in my opinion, is first of all with yourself, and then with your team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How big was the team after year one at Triple O Protection System?
Oh, we were only 5 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important to get those people
Absolutely,
on board.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So very, very important. Share it, refine it, improve it, and that way you get commitment.
Yeah.
And in fact, there are other workbooks on how to involve your people,
Yeah.
fully involve your people in this, in your goals.
Sure.
Because commitment comes with involvement. And then even at a deeper level, how to engage your people.
Yeah. And for them to get ownership.
Ownership.
Yeah.
And I know you've done that.
Yeah.
So Paul, that's the workbook. Really powerful stuff.
Yes.
You know that from your own
Absolutely.
situation,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
know from Richard Branson and others. May I wish you every success, and I really mean this. You're, of all the people I've had the privilege and the pleasure of working with over the last 20 years, entrepreneurial businesses,
Yeah.
yours is one of the most exciting, and you're one of the most exciting entrepreneurs. I know you've got great plans for other businesses. And thank you for your time. I know how busy you are.
Good. Thank you, Christopher.
My pleasure.
I appreciate your help over these years.